Hi David, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Can we get any injury updates, please?
Well, we've got Danny Ings is doing quite well. He's got a chance of being available tomorrow, so that's good news for us. But we've got to really assess it and see how he is. We're not quite 100% sure on him yet. Gianluca is not available. Kurt Zuma's not available. Maxi Corney's not available.
With Danny, how difficult a decision is that? Because obviously he's so keen to come and start his new challenge.
No, he's desperate to get back. He's really disappointed. He picked up an injury in the first 15-20 seconds of the game. Look, we hope that he's fine. You know, he's certainly not 100%, and we wouldn't be thinking that or expecting him to be. But you know, having him around, it's a big boost. He's an important player for us. He was a really good signing for us in January. I like him a lot, and hopefully he goes on to prove that.
And is he the sort of character, because he's had a few injury setbacks in his career, is he the sort of character to just take it in his stride, or can we see it affecting him at all?
Well, I think anybody who's had injuries is always affected, you know, players especially with experience. But I think when you move to a new club, you're really disappointed if you can't, you know, help your new team, and you want to show the supporters how well you can play. But look, and I think everybody knows what he's capable of, and let's hope that he's able to show that in the coming weeks, months and years to come as well.
And the other three you mentioned, the two closest, Gianluca and Kurt, not ready at all for this weekend?
Not ready for this weekend, no.
Any prognosis for those two?
Look, they're all getting better. You'd hope that the healing process would be getting them in the right direction. I couldn't really give you exact dates on any of them, but hopefully they're going in the right direction.
And Maxwell Cornet's back at the training ground?
No, he's gone back to France again. He's not ready yet to step up to training levels yet. So we just need to bring him on, and hopefully we get him back, you know, as quick as we can.
At the risk of creating a headline, would you describe that as a setback, or not really?
No, I don't think. I think behind the scenes we never really expected him to be back yet, but we were hoping that he might be, but we don't think he's quite ready yet. He needs to get a bit more pitch work done. He's back doing a lot more work in the gym. He's exercising. He's not feeling his calf muscle anymore. He's feeling much better. But if you're talking about is he back at 100% yet? No, he's probably 60-70%, and we're hoping that it won't be too long, I should say.
The results table for 2023 actually looking pretty impressive. What's the feeling around the place? Is it better given you've had a good start to the new year?
Yeah, we've had a couple of really good results. The win in the cup against Derby was another boost to us. You know, we kept a clean sheet, which goes well. But I think when you're fighting for your results, you know, you're looking for positives everywhere you can. We got a great win against Everton a week or so ago, so we want to build on it. We want to get that momentum. We want to try and charge on.
That was the word I've got written here, building on it. Are you getting a sense that, obviously you've got some difficult games coming up, but are you getting the sense that you can now move on, put the maybe the not so good spell behind you?
Yeah, I believe we can. I think that we've got a good side. I think we've got a good group of players. We've not shown it as much as we should have done, and we have to do that now. We're getting in. We're not quite at the business end of the season yet, but we're getting closer to it, and we're halfway through now, and we have to try and perform. But thankfully, the last couple of games, I think we've maybe won 3 out of 4 in the last bundle of games, has given us something to talk about. Feel much more positive, a bit more confidence around the team, and it's great to see Jared scoring a few goals, Mickey Antonio back on the score sheet. So that'll do them the world of good.
Been a big week for Newcastle. They'll be bouncing up there tomorrow.
Yeah, it's by the way a great achievement for Newcastle, great achievement for Eddie Howe, and you know, and how they've done in a year, where they were this time last season, just about, to where they are now. Just shows you how football can change at times. So, no, congratulations to them.
Obviously, they've been celebrating. I'm sure the fans certainly have. I'm sure the players have had a bit of time.
I hope they've all been drinking. I do. Newcastle brown ale, is it that up there? Yeah, hope they've had plenty of that.
Eddie Howe says one of his young children can't say Wembley, so he's pronouncing it Wombley. Is there a danger that they're taking the eye off the ball in the Premier League?
Well, don't ask me that question. Ask them if they're doing that. I think all we can say is that they're doing very, very well. They've set some really good standards in the opening part of the season, and we know we've got a tough game. Everybody has who goes up to St James's Park. do you get extra flack when you go up there, given your previous job in that area? Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a little bit. But hey, if you manage Sunderland, then you expect that, you know.
but you know all about the passion of Newcastle, especially
definitely.
when they're in the mood they're in at the moment.
Definitely, it's an incredibly well supported football club, and you know, I think when you're up in the North East, there's not always an awful lot else at times, and football plays a huge part in everybody's life. And you know, what they want is success. Everybody wants success, and Newcastle at the moment are just getting a taste of it just now, and you know, it makes them a difficult opponent.
And some good news now, Bruno Guimaraes in the side. Obviously you would have planned for him. Does it make a different proposition?
Good news. He's a really good player, so it is good news. But let's be fair, they've got a team full of good players at the moment, and I think more importantly, a lot of players who maybe weren't considered good players are playing very well. So that's a sign of good management. It also shows that the players are working really hard to improve themselves. So there's a lot of positives I'm sure Newcastle can take, but we have to get back to that. We were a bit like that maybe a year ago ourselves, so you know, we know what it feels like, and we know we have to try and get back and work to those levels.
Hi David, you just mentioned Bruno for Newcastle, but in terms of your midfield, on Monday you played Flynn Downs alongside Thomas Soucek. How do you view Lynn's development this season, and do you see him getting more minutes in the Premier League?
I do. I think Flynn's come on. He played really well for us against Liverpool, Manchester United in the earlier Premier League games this season. I think the level of competition really is probably what's hard for Flynn. You know, we've brought in Lucas Paqueta, who's proven to be probably more of a deeper line midfield player than a 10, which we'd brought Flynn Downs to give us cover with Thomas Soucek and Declan Rice, Manuel Lanzini. So Flynn's done well. I think he's improving. I don't know how many players I've brought from the Championship, but let me tell you, it is a lot over the years. People like Joelyn Lescott, Leighton Baines, Tim Cahill, go on, and quite often a lot of them don't hit the ground running. A lot of them don't come into the first team. Leighton Baines and Phil Jagielka, for example, I think didn't play for me for 6 months near enough when I was at Everton. We brought them out the Championship and they went on to be England full internationals. So sometimes they have to be patient, wait their time, wait on their opportunities, and hopefully Flynn comes under that category and goes on to be a top player.
Moving away from the team, earlier on this week you attended a celebration event to commemorate the life of David Gold. Just wondered how emotional of a day was that for you and the entire team?
Well, the biggest thing I would say is for them, well, there was a lot of people not there, but the people who were, it was a brilliant service. It had lots of humour, it had lots of moments, in generally seeing someone who was brought up with very, very little, went on to, you know, play for West Ham in the youth leagues, and then went on to become a chairman and owner. And I think the send-off he got was great. I think he'd have been incredibly proud of his family for how they dealt with it and done it, but also I think he would be incredibly proud of West Ham and how they made the day go for the family as well.
Thanks, David.
David, I wonder what you make of Newcastle now as to what they were maybe sort of a year or two ago, and is it too simplistic to suggest that if you invest an awful lot of money in a club that it will lead to success?
I really hope that it's not to do with spending money. I'd love to think that football was not to do with spending money, but if you look, and I say this with real respect, and certainly I think I mentioned this the other week there, I said I think some of the Newcastle players for a few years, people saw them as complete write-offs and not good enough to be at the club. Some of them, they've turned that round. Now that can be down to the players as individuals, it can be down to maybe the manager, it can be down to the playing style, it can be down to lots of reasons. But you know, it does go to prove that, you know, if you keep working at it, stick at it, you know, challenge it, don't give up, then you can get something. Obviously Newcastle have had a huge boost. Their football clubs had a huge boost. And I think about us at West Ham, when we come in at West Ham here, sort of pulling together the fans and the directors and the players and everybody to get the club going in one direction. I think that's the way Newcastle look at the moment. No, it's been pulled together. Players are doing so well. They've picked a good manager who probably at the start folk were saying you're only going to be there for a short time, you know, and then they'll bring somebody else in. Looks as if he's, you know, easily settled into the job, and rightly so. And you look at the players who weren't performing very well for them. So a lot of similarities to what we've been like here at West Ham maybe over the last couple of years as well. So I have to give them praise. I think they're a good side to watch as well, Newcastle at the moment.
Considering their extraordinary form, it must fill you with a bit more confidence going there, having won your last two, having kept a couple of
It does, and winning is always the key. You know, I would like my performances to improve, or bits of the performances, but when I came the first couple of years ago, you know, what was important was how we get out of the problem we were in, and we had to do that first and foremost. Then we started looking at how we could play better, how we look. Now at the moment we have to make sure we pick up the wins and we get the results, and thankfully the last couple of games we've done a little bit of both. Good signs of our performances and bits getting better, good signs of keeping doing right things, keeping clean sheets, really important. Good signs that Jared Bowen and Mickey Antonio are getting goals now, so we're beginning to get goals from the areas where we thought we weren't. So hopefully it is moving in the right direction.
How much are you missing Kurt Zuma, though?
Well, I think our result against Everton would tell you that, you know, Kurt's a real important part. And we've had misses, you know, if you look at the players we've missed at different times through the season, and actually our record over the last 2 seasons we're actually really proud of is very few injuries. Behind the scenes here in the medical team, we're really proud of how well we've done over the last couple of years. But I don't know if it's just, I think Mickey played, I'm using Mickey and Tony, I think Mickey played 60 games last year in total, and I think the year before he'd only ever sort of played 25 games. I think Declan Rice ended up with 64. Now, I'm not saying they're the injured ones at the moment, but I think the point I'm getting is, I think sometimes the workload you've maybe had in a couple of years, and if I say this, I might be wrong in saying this, but I think Liverpool might be finding that a little bit with injuries they've had. You know, David, the amount of games Liverpool have had in the last couple of seasons might just be taking its toll a little bit in some areas, and I don't think it's taking its toll on us. It's just that we've lost some really important players. Nathan Agard, an injury at Rangers. You know, we didn't have Craig Dawson for the first 6 or 8 weeks of the season. You know, so we've had situations like that. Kurt Zuma, different things. So we've had a few situations like that which we wish we could have avoided.
A player that you that left in January is Harrison Ashby, who's gone to Newcastle. Were you hoping that he would stay here?
Yeah. I was hoping he would stay, but we couldn't get him to stay. You know, what he was looking for regarding his package, we couldn't make, and also, you know, we'd known this, and probably all the media as well had known this for a year. He'd probably been looking at, maybe 6 months certainly was letting it known that he wanted to leave. So we were always going to find it difficult. And no, we wanted to keep him. I like him. He was a Scottish boy as well, which made it even better for me, that I'd like to have helped him and helped his career going forward, but we just couldn't get a way of keeping him.
Is your challenge going to be, although it doesn't seem to have been, that maybe there are going to be other clubs that are more appealing than West Ham?
I don't know about that. I think if you'd said to a Newcastle player this time last year, would you have rather chosen West Ham, I think they'd have said all day long, you're more appealing. So I think what you're suggesting is, it's really, if you're winning, it becomes more appealing, because we've been hugely appealing to Brazilian internationals, Italian internationals, German internationals. We've been hugely appealing to a big market. So sometimes when you're very successful, it becomes very difficult for young players to get to the first team. So some young players might look at it that way. But overall, I think we're hugely appealing because of being a big club in London.